Hello, writers. Come write with me. My name is Michaela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventures. Welcome to my channel, Write with Michaela. I'm very excited to have you join me on my channel, so don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can join me on this journey and you can continue to go on this journey with me. Today is story time, or the day of our chapter exchange. I give you a chapter, you give me a chapter. If you're writing with me and you wish to exchange chapters, then send your chapter with written permission to writewithmichaela@gmail.com. I will post the email address at the end of the video and in the description below. I'm looking forward to reading your chapters. All chapters or writing prompts read on the channel, whether they are mine or another writer's work, are copyright protected material, and no one may use any part in writing their own stories. This story is PG-13, so if you're under 13 years of age, you need parental guidance. This story is in its rough draft stage, just as the last stories and writing prompts we've heard. The title of this story is Princess Emnorawyn Stygerguard, and today we are reading chapter 27. If you would like to read along, then send to the email I stated earlier, request a PDF of the chapter. Make sure you are specific. Now let's start. Princess Emnorawyn Stygerguard, Chapter 27. Aiding the New Ally. All three allies landed, and the three kings received reports and counts. None had their advisors with them, nor did they have their prophets, so they were discussing heading to their own places. A horn blew and announced a dragon flying in. "What does that mean?" asked King Trufflemore. 1 to 5 riders fly in, replied King Rhymes. A short note blew. "Alliance unknown," stated King Rhymes. King Trufflemore looked up. "Those look like my dragons," stated King Trufflemore. King Rhymes signaled to let the 3 riders land. After they landed, one rider quickly dismounted and ran over to the kings. He looked around the group of 3 kings, and then he addressed King Trufflemore. "The men without ice sparks are marching against us again." "How many?" asked King Trufflemore. "We estimate rows of 50, and we counted 200 rows," stated the rider. "We must help them," King Rhymes said to King Cronte. King Trufflemore said, "Hold on." He signaled his soldiers to head back. Then he said, "During our battle, several times I thought I should have brought more troops, but I hadn't known we were going to battle. My point to you is I left enough troops to defend my kingdom. I advise you to do the same." He motioned to King Rhymes. "I will request that if your daughter hasn't expended herself too much, that you let her and her mad dragon come." King Rhymes looked at Princess Emnorawyn. "Did you use too much magic?" "At certain points during the battle, I may have," responded Princess Emnorawyn. "But I'm fine right now. I will go and make you proud." King Rhymes smiled slightly. "My dear, precious daughter, when will you learn that I became proud of you the day you were born? And nothing will ever change that. Pick some troops, maybe a third of our dragons and riders." King Hadley had exchanged nods with his father, so he said, "I will go too." King Trufflemore waited for the 2 heirs to pick the troops going with them, and then he led them over the mountain ridge separating the 2 kingdoms. Princess Emnorawyn did not bring Dobston, the archer. King Rhymes, Sizemore, and King Cronte briefly discussed things. Then they made sure they didn't see any animal people before they lifted off to go to their refuges. As they flew in to join King Trufflemore's troops, Princess Emnorawyn could see the rows and rows of mudmen, and she felt she could hear them chanting something, but she could not make it out. She decided to get the counts herself, and she asked for how many per row and how many rows. Her magic returned to her 50 to 53 per row and 350 rows. Her magics added the total of 17,953. The total number overwhelmed Princess Emnorawyn. King Trufflemore signaled her and Prince Hadley to fly back to his kingdom. Princess Emnorawyn didn't want to leave her troops, but Prince Hadley was following. Once they landed, King Trufflemore wanted to know what they had done to their dragon's breath. They both explained. King Trufflemore turned to some nearby servants and asked about their stock of poison. He turned back and explained that their poison wasn't the same that Princess Emnorawyn said against the animal people, but it was a poison they could use against boils when people got them. They kept the poison under lock and key because some young boys smoked some of the leaves and died. Princess Emnorawyn understood. After another commander landed, and King Trufflemore told him the plan. Though the commanders and soldiers didn't have magic or didn't feel like they had magic, perhaps the heat of their dragon's breaths and the poison would be enough. King Trufflemore included Prince Hadley in helping distribute the poison among the troops fighting, and then he turned to Princess Emnorawyn. I know you want to fight, but I have a request of you before you rejoin your troops. He told her of their magical library and how his wife had only 5 books out of the library on her bedside table when she passed, and the books were too high a level to help his daughter. He asked if she could unseal the library before she rejoined the battle. He added that when they returned, she could browse their library and pick some books to read, if indeed his library was different from hers. Princess Emnorawyn sent thoughts to Sizemore, her grandfather, because she wasn't sure about magically unlocking a magical library, and she glanced at Prince Hadley. Prince Hadley stated to King Trufflemore that she would try, and he explained how she read. King Trufflemore said, "That's impressive. How many can you read like that?" Princess Emnorawyn explained what she did to the books to help her keep them separate in her mind. "Okay, explain that to my servant Kinley," stated King Trufflemore. "He can at least do that to the 5 my wife had out. Try to open the library, and Kinley will show my daughter Ezeris in. Once we finish the battle, you can return and pick some books to read, especially since you don't need to take them with you." King Trufflemore turned to Prince Hadley to finish discussing things, while Kinley led Princess Emnorawyn to the magical library. As Princess Emnorawyn was walking to the library, her grandfather sent returned thoughts about unsealing the library. Then she thought to him about her detour from the battle. Sizemore was actually quite pleased with the detour, and he stayed with her in thought until she successfully opened the library. He thought to her that however long that kingdom had sealed that library, the magic hadn't had a chance to flourish. Princess Emnorawyn agreed with his thoughts, and she picked up on his thoughts of regret for not checking back with her on her progress. Once inside the library, Princess Emnorawyn quickly went down a few aisles to see if this kingdom organized the library similarly to theirs. It wasn't, but she found a few books she thought the princess should start with. Kinley would label the same way Princess Emnorawyn had told about, and then he would make sure Princess Ezeris received them. He also stated that he would inspect books as he was able, and label bottom right corners of those books whose binding didn't seem to be as secure as it should be. Princess Emnorawyn joined the troops fighting the battle. She saw soldiers throwing pouches of poison as far in front of their dragon breaths as possible, and only a few soldiers or commanders seemed to be using any magic to help them. She looked at the field of mudmen. The front rows where they had sprayed the poison in the dragon's flames seemed slower and more sluggish, but a second pass with the dragon's breath helped to solidify the mud. The rows behind the sluggish or more solid rows just marched on. The sluggish men toppled over in mud heaps, and the more solid ones broke into bits of pottery. Seeing that relieved Princess Emnorawyn. Flying into the statues had not been fun. When Stygerguard felt it was his turn, he swooped up and away. Princess Emnorawyn didn't see the signals passed around between the troops fighting, but all the allies flew away from what they thought Stygerguard's possible path was. Princess Emnorawyn gained the information as he swooped up, and again she thought the battle was not the time to learn, but the information was a spell on increasing the potency. She magically increased the potency and spread the poison out in Stygerguard's lightning breath. Then she placed her hands on the base of his neck to spread out the breath. Once again, time practically stopped for everyone, flying. King Trufflemore was very glad the princess had come to aid him and his troops. He saw the lightning spread the full breadth of the row of mudmen, and it went 5 or more rows back. His troops, especially those not using magic, only hit a breadth of 5 to 10 mudmen, and only 2 to 3 rows back. Prince Hadley scolded himself. He told himself he had not paid close enough attention when Princess Emnorawyn was telling this king what she did. He felt, although his dragon's breath wasn't as powerful as or as big as Stygerguard's breath, he should be able to expand it more than he did. Many from King Trufflemore's troops glanced at their king when Stygerguard's breath hit. The totality of it amazed them. The front 5 rows froze solid, but within seconds the rows behind them were marching forward, and everyone could hear the crashing sound as they marched into the one Stygerguard's breath just hit. King Trufflemore motioned to his troops to go again. He didn't want Princess Emnorawyn to run out of magic, and he wanted to give her a break so she could replenish if necessary. Prince Hadley used this moment to think with Princess Emnorawyn to see what she did, so he could try to duplicate. He knew he couldn't duplicate Stygerguard's part, but anything he could add, he would. Commander Offerton also wanted to know. He did his best to create a message ball like the princess had taught him. He also guessed King Trufflemore's thoughts, and he included those. The dragon Commander Offerton rode was not his original dragon, but the dragon still realized when Commander Offerton wasn't focusing on riding as much, and the dragon confirmed he was ready to take his turn flying toward and flaming the mud-shaped men. Commander Offerton thought he was ready. King Rhymes flew into their cave behind some other soldiers, and his dragon flew out. He watched the dragon go. As a boy, he had always wished to have a dragon for his own. But how he came to be among the dragon riders now didn't bring him the joy he thought it would have brought him. He turned to head in, and he noticed Kalaisha. She was approaching different soldiers and instructing them to hold out their hands. He saw a book drop down in the hands of a soldier in front of Kalaisha, and he didn't think they should be just handing out books. But then he thought they needed the magic to grow. King Rhymes approached Kalaisha, and Sizemore arrived to her first. He heard his father ask Kalaisha what she was doing, and Kalaisha told him the magic told her to do what she was doing. Sizemore asked, "Are they receiving a magical book?" Kalaisha shrugged. "I guess. I haven't really been paying attention." King Rhymes said, "Well, in the very least, we need to record who has which book." Sizemore glanced at him, but he didn't say anything. "I think the magic knows," stated Kalaisha. Then she told them how someone tried to bring a book back to her, and she told the person just to hold the book up and to say he had finished with it, and the book disappeared. Sizemore raised his eyebrows. King Rhymes thought that was more expression than he'd ever witnessed. Sizemore said, "Maybe we've made a mistake. We didn't want anyone to misuse the magic, so we sealed it. But the magic through Emnorawyn gathering the library and Kalaisha handing out books, it has found a way to replenish itself." King Rhymes slightly nodded as he thought about his father's words. "Did I do something wrong?" asked Kalaisha. Sizemore put a hand on her shoulder. "No, dear, I think we did. We did something wrong by trying to contain and control the magic, and it doesn't want to be either contained or controlled." King Rhymes added, "Many generations ago, some used the magic to do evil things, and it almost wiped out our kingdom and the kingdom of our allies. So we wanted protection." "Yes, we did," put in Sizemore. "Only now we need magic to protect us." "How do I know the people I helped the magic hand books to will only do good?" asked Kalaisha. "You don't," put in Sizemore. "Mankind always has choice. Magic wanted choice, but mankind has choice. What was the saying my father used to say? something about when given a choice, mankind generally will choose the relaxed path over the righteous path. So you have to train rigor and responsibilities before giving rest and restoration. Ah, yes, I remember that, stated King Rhymes. He looked at Kalacia. Right now we need the magic, so keep following its instructions. I just ask that you keep one of us informed about what's going on. Or who got books? Put in Sizemore suddenly. They might need training. Kalacia then showed Sizemore to all the people who received a book, because she didn't know names. King Rhymes gathered his prophets and advisors, told them about the battle, and he sent the scouts out to find more poison if possible. Some of the group had fought in the morning, and it had been past noon when they had flown over the ridge to start the next battle. Now the sun was setting. Most dragons didn't like flying in the dark, but they would. No one was sure if the mudmen would stop or if they even needed to see. So they continued. Many were unaware of the estimate number of rows being 200, but they felt Many were aware of the estimate number of rows being 200. They felt they had passed that number an hour or two ago, and there were more rows. Princess Emnorawyn asked Stygerguard to fly over the remaining mudmen. She wanted to see if there were rows adding. Stygerguard complied, because he realized the king wanted them to have breaks. Still, he had flown most of the day without a break in flying, so he let the princess know that the dragons probably needed to rest from flying as well. Princess Emnorawyn understood. After they flew over the last row of mudmen, Princess Emnorawyn sent her magic north over the empty field. Her magic returned to her that there were no more, so she flew back, and she would relay her findings to the king. King Trufflemore was able to signal the message, and this heartened his soldiers. They were glad that there seemed to be an end. This news invigorated their fighting, and soon the rest of the mobile rows were immobile. The few of King Trufflemore's troop that had been there when Stygerguard had flown into the first set of statues did that, but none flew into the mounds of mud. They flew back to King Trufflemore's kingdom. Princess Emnorawyn, her troops with her, Prince Hadley and his troops with him, would stay in the kingdom overnight. Princess Emnorawyn checked on Princess Ezeris, and then she looked through the 19 books that Kinley had finished for her. Kinley told her that if he hadn't wanted to pick for her, if needs to go away. Kinley told her that he hadn't wanted to pick for her, but she could pick some now, and he would continue. Princess Emnorawyn didn't want to impose, and she didn't want Kinley to have to stay up on her behalf. But King Trufflemore overheard, and he thanked Kinley and said, "The princess will pick at least a few more. Then she may return to our kingdom as often as she likes, or she is able to read more." Princess Emnorawyn picked 4 more. As she walked back to the table where Kinley was, a book fell off a shelf she passed, and then another fell. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see those sticking out. I must have bumped them." King Trufflemore chuckled. "I remember books falling off the shelf when my wife walked between the aisles. Those were usually the ones she needed to read next." He motioned to Kinley. "Gather those and do those first." One of King Trufflemore's maids then showed Princess Emnorawyn to a guest room, and soldiers came to help remove her armor before the maids attended her, just like what happened in Jorah's kingdom. Okay, writers, that is the end of chapter 27. As I read it, I realized I did not take care of a detail. She picked up soldiers off the battlefield in the bubbles, and where did they go? They should have been in the kingdom when King Trufflemore got there, and he could be glad and say, "Oh, get your dragons and go right." It doesn't have to be a big scene. It just needs to be, the soldiers were there, and then when I go back to see King Rhymes, the soldiers could be there. Were you on the battlefield? Where, there needs to be something, a sentence, something to kind of just tie that in together, where those soldiers went. So, That should be easy to fix. Leave a comment on having a battle in the morning and then another one in the afternoon. Would you be exhausted even if you were riding Dragonback? Leave a comment on Kalacia handing out books. Do you think the magic found a way to grow through Kalacia? Leave a comment on the books jumping off the shelf as Princess Emnorawyn passed them. Are those the ones she needs to read next? Or is that the magic that wants to come out next? What is it? You give me some comments. Join me Tuesday for some jargon and your cave. Join me Friday for chapter 28 of Princess Emnorawyn and Stygerguard. Visit my website bymckella.com. Read some character bios. If you read some, then leave a comment on which ones you have read. All your comments will help us start conversations and build our community. Keep all comments respectful and remember that someone else's perspective can help you with your writing. They see it here, you see it here, but there are two sides in your story. You know? I had a question for y'all the other day. I was thinking, I was like, okay, so in Jurassic Park, right? First one, the movie one. Who is the antagonist in your mind? Is it the owner of the park that created the park? Is it the dinosaurs? Who is the antagonist? So leave that comment too. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and the bell so we can continue to write together and other people will have a higher chance of finding this video and this channel, since your likes will push the video out to a greater audience. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your participation. If you know someone who would like this video, please share it with them. This is Mckella with Write with Mckella. Bye for now.